guys, happy Sunday and welcome back to my channel. This week I want to do a little DIY. I think it's going to be really fun and really easy to recreate. We are going to be making a dupe for the Olive Atelier paper mache bowl. I really want to keep it in line with that same style as the Olive Atelier bowl. And this is a DIY that is super easy to do and really budget friendly. It requires so few materials and you probably already have most of them, if not all of them, at home. I have done a DIY like this before prior to making my channel, so I thought it would be really fun to recreate that and make one with you guys. And this is actually something that I've been wanting to do for a little while because I love the style of bowl. I love Olive Atelier's stuff. I think it's all just so beautiful, and I thought this would be really nice to put in our kitchen to hold some of the vintage and antique rolling pins that I've been collecting and am planning to continue to collect, because I don't have any vessels that have a wide enough opening to hold all of my rolling pins, and I really want to display them all together. So I think this will be the perfect way to do that. The bowl that I previously made, we keep on our coffee table to hold like our remotes and just random things that end up there, coasters, whatever. I'll show you what that looks like. This is the one that I made in the past. I made this probably a little over a year ago, and it is holding up very, very well. It is so strong. Honestly, does not really have any wear and tear on it at all. We use this every single day, and we're not careful with it. We throw things in. It's doing amazing. We're gonna do the same exact process that I did to make that bowl, but for a different style, different color palette, and different shape, to really try to mimic and create a dupe for the Olive Atelier bowl that is here on our screen. So if you're interested in seeing how I make a DIY paper mache bowl, then stick around and watch this video and we're gonna get right into it. For this DIY, you only need a couple of things. You need a cardboard box, Elmer's glue, joint compound, spackling, something like that, and then access to hot water or a pot to boil in and some kind of blending tool. Really simple project. Most of the things you probably already have at home, and it's actually very quick to complete. The longest part of this project is going to be just letting it dry, which requires nothing from you. We're gonna start by just tearing up our cardboard box. You can use like an Amazon box, paper towel rolls, toilet paper rolls, a box from the grocery store, whatever you have. If it is some kind of cardboard or thick paper, it will work for this. So we're going to tear it up into really small pieces, and then we will head to the kitchen. So we're going to put a pot of water on the stove and turn it to high so that it'll boil, and then we're going to just put all of our cardboard into the pot and let it boil for like 5-10 minutes so that your cardboard gets really nice and soft, and it makes it a whole lot easier for us to work with it. And I would say put more cardboard than you think you need, because it does take quite a bit, and you could always make something else small with it if you don't use it all, but it's definitely more annoying to have to go back and do this whole thing a second time. So we're just going to keep dumping all of our cardboard into the pot. We'll push it down with the spoon and then let it just sit, and then we'll let it just sit and cook for like 5-10 minutes. So now that our cardboard has been boiling, we're going to pour it into a strainer. Okay, so this is like super hot, so be careful not to touch your cardboard. What we want to do is let it cool for a second, and then we're going to squeeze all the water out by putting it into a kitchen towel or cheesecloth or something like that, and you want to get it as dry as you can. And then we're just going to pinch all the edges in together and try to squeeze out some of the water. All right, so when you have as much water out as you can get, we're going to put it back into our pot. Okay, so we have our bowl of shredded up cardboard over here. This is what I'm going to be using as my mold for our bowl that we're going to be making. I looked up the measurements for the Olive Atelier bowl, and it is between 10 and 12 inches wide and 3 to 6 inches tall. And this bowl is perfect for that. This is just a regular old mixing bowl. We're just going to use this and flip it over to make our bowl shape. I'm going to set this off to the side and we're going to mix up our cardboard. Okay, so for our mixture, you have your shredded up cardboard, and then you're also going to need some Elmer's glue and some joint compound, or I was out of joint compound, so I'm using spackling, which in my opinion is very similar. I'm sure somebody knows what the difference is, but I feel like they pretty much do the same thing, so I'm going to use it in its place and hopefully it'll work out just as well. So I like to do it as like a 2-to-1 ratio. It's not an exact science, it's kind of just more like feeling the consistency and going with that. It should be kind of sticky, but everything should stick together and make like a paste sort of situation. So I do 2 parts glue to 1 part joint compound or spackling, and then we mix it all up, and you can add more if you need it, but it should be pretty like Play-Doh-y, pasty kind of feeling. All right, so let's start by adding our Elmer's glue and really just kind of eyeball it like 1.5 cups, somewhere in there. All right, and then we're gonna add about 3/4 cup of our joint compound, spackling, whatever it is you're using. And then we're just gonna mix it up. And you just kind of want to squeeze and spread everything throughout so that all of your cardboard gets a nice coating. And then if it's feeling a little bit dry, you can add more glue. If it feels a little bit too liquidy, then you can add more of your joint compound. So I'm going to put a little bit more glue in mine. Let's see how that goes. Okay, so at this point it's sticking together pretty much in like a ball, and that is what you want to see. It should still be like able to pull apart, but sticking together really well. We are going to go ahead and try and put our paper mache mixture onto our mold and see how it spreads out. All right, so for our mold, I put parchment paper over my bowl just so that it doesn't stick too much. I would probably recommend like cling wrap if you have it. It's a little bit easier to work with. I didn't have any on hand, so this works totally fine. And we're just gonna take our paper mache mixture and kind of pre-flatten it out so that it's a little bit easier to apply to your bowl. And you want it to be about 1/4 inch thick, somewhere in there, not too thick, but you don't want it to be super thin to where it's gonna break. So I just sort of press it onto my mold and then add a little bit more. So we're back. We're gonna make a second batch of our cardboard mixture because this is as far as I got, and then I ran out of our mixture. So what I noticed is the spackling really sticks to the cardboard and it dries a lot faster, but it's a lot harder to move around and get smooth. So I did go and grab some joint compound. That's what I would recommend if you're doing this and you're able to get joint compound. If you are in a pinch and all you have is spackling, it will work, but it's just a little bit more difficult. So let's mix up a second batch. It's looking really good so far. Let me see if I can show you the top. So we have our little rim to our bowl starting. I'm going to build it up a little bit more. I also want to smooth this out some and add a like ribbing around the side. We'll do one of those and then flatten out our top of our bowl so that it has a flat lip at the top. And then we will be good to let it dry. These types of projects do take a while to dry. When I did my previous bowl that I showed you guys at the start of the video, I think it took like 3 or 4 days for it to dry completely. I will say that if you live somewhere that's warm like I do, you can put it outside and it will help to like essentially bake it and it'll dry a lot faster. So that's what I will probably do to make it dry faster, is just stick it outside. So I'm just gonna press it on and then smooth it as best I can. Yeah, see how much better this smooths already? Like you can tell it's gonna be a lot smoother, and then we can always go over and sand it if we want it to be even more consistent. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and build the little ring that we're gonna put around our bowl. So to do that, I'm literally just gonna roll it out like Play-Doh or whatever, and just kind of pinch it and make it long and thin the way that you want it to be. So you can kind of, you know, decide the shape and the size that you want your little ring to be. And it really doesn't have to be perfect or, you know, exactly the same all the way around or exactly level all the way around, because the whole point of Olive Atelier products is that they're handmade. A lot of them are quite old and they're unique. So they are imperfect and they are all different. And so that is really just going to kind of play into that look for you. Another option for this, if you plan to paint it like I do, would be to do a hot glue ring. And then when you paint it, you wouldn't know that it's not the same material. So once you get your ring all the way around and everything is looking the way that you want it to, we are going to leave this to dry for a day or two, however long it takes for yours to dry completely, and then we'll come back and we'll paint it. And everything is covered. You have your little rim built up and the rim around the edge. The last thing that I like to do before I let it dry is to take a spatula or your hands or whatever and put a light layer of our joint compound all over. And this helps to, one, make it a lot smoother and more consistent so you don't have to sand as much, and also make it a lot stronger. So I find this to be really helpful with like the durability and just overall functionality of it. This is optional. You could stop right here and it'll dry and be totally fine. It'll just have more texture to it. I'm going to take my little spatula and just little bits at a time, just spread some over the top, and that's going to keep anything from flaking away. It's going to help it all stick together a little bit better and smooth it out a bit. And then, like I said, once this all dries, we will go back and give it just a light sand before painting it. Okay, so we have our bowl all dry. I lightly sanded it just to kind of smooth out any weird lumps or bumps. So I think it's looking really good. I feel like it's pretty accurate to the Olive Atelier one. Obviously it's not perfect, but I do think it's very close. The main difference that I notice is the top right here is just a little bit more built up and structured on the Olive Atelier one. But personally, I like for the tops of my bowls and things like that to be a little bit more on the organic side, similar to the black bowl that I showed at the beginning of the video. That was also paper mache. I like to kind of smooth it out a little bit, but let it have its natural leveling and not have it be all one perfect height. That's just my personal preference. If you like it to be more consistent, then you would just build this up a little bit more once it starts to dry, and you could just add some on just like we did when we first put the bowl together. I think it's looking really, really nice. I love how this rim has turned out. I like the little pedestal base down here. It's also starting to storm, so if you hear a little bit of thunder, that's what's going on. Sorry for any noises in the background. I'm loving this. I think it's going to look so good when we get it painted and just be a really beautiful addition to our home. I'm super excited about this one because I have been wanting to make a bowl like that Olive Atelier one since I made my first one that we use as our coffee table tray. I just think they're so pretty and organic and have like so much texture and movement to them and just look good really anywhere and work as an awesome like catch-all. We are going to finish off our bowl. We're going to paint it. You obviously could leave it like this and have it be like the whites and tans and go more with the natural color palette. I want it to be more tan than it is right now, so we're going to do some painting on it. It already has a lot of texture, so I'm just going to sponge on some paint. I have two different paints over here that I plan to use. use. These are like leftover samples from wall paints, and I like to use these when I have a project that I'm doing or painting or, you know, like DIYs like this, because you never use this whole sample. You use like, you know, a couple dips of your brush to test it, and then you're left with this giant thing that is otherwise going to be wasted. Using your house paints that you have left over, they're thicker, so they're going to be more durable, they're going to have more color to them, like a stronger opacity, and it's just overall better quality. If you don't have samples like this, you could definitely just use like an acrylic paint. That's what I did in the previous bowl that I made, and it worked totally fine. Either way works, but I have these on hand, so I'm going to use them. My first one that I am using is called Cream in My Coffee, and it's a Valspar paint. And then the other one is Freshly Baked, so it's like a tan and a white, and I want to kind of mix them by splotching them on with the brush to get a color that's more consistent with that Olive Atelier color, like a light tan color. So we are going to give that a go. I also brought a Tupperware over, so that way I can put the bowl on top of a Tupperware and be able to get all the way around without painting this towel completely. Alright guys, so here is our bowl all done. I think it has such a pretty sandy tan color to it. It has lots of texture still. I used the tan to give it like an overall base, but then used some of this creamier white color to just stipple in a little bit of that white and give it a lighter tan, kind of like sand color to it. And I think it looks really pretty. I feel like you wouldn't even know that this was paper mache. It honestly kind of looks like stone. But yeah, I love it. I think it looks so nice, and I'm so excited to decorate with it. My plan for this is when I get to making over the kitchen, I want to put this in the kitchen with some of our like antique rolling pins and have them on display in this, and I think it would just look so pretty to have the old wood rolling pins in here with this natural, like organic looking bowl. So yeah, let me know what you think. I think that it is not a perfect dupe for the Olive Atelier bowl, but I definitely think it's similar. I think it gives that same vibe. It has the same feel of that, and I personally am really happy with it. Going into this, I didn't want to make it like a 100% replica. I wanted it to be my version of that bowl, and I definitely think that I accomplished that. That's going to wrap up this week's video. If you give this a go, definitely leave me a comment. Let me know how yours turned out. If you tried any other techniques when making yours, I'd love to hear, you know, how it went for you. And hopefully you enjoyed seeing me make this bowl and, you know, the process of paper macheing a bowl. It's something that I think is really fun to do and super inexpensive, super easy, and you can make any shape, any style that you want, and it just looks so cool around your house. It looks so natural. I just love like the texture that it gives. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can see more of my videos every Sunday. And we have a lot of really fun DIY projects and makeovers coming up. If you'd like to see some more dupes or interpretations of dupes on the channel, definitely let me know so that I can make some of those. I think that would be really fun to do, like really budget versions of high-end products. So leave a comment and let me know if that's something you would be interested in seeing. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next Sunday.